everybody, welcome back to the arcade. We got another really awesome game for you. This is M.A.C.H. It's a Laserdisc game, came out in 1983 I believe. It's made by Mylstar, and I remember playing this game. My dad, he took me to 7-Eleven and would give me a couple quarters while he was buying stuff. And I remember the 7-Eleven I was at, the street that it's on, and I walked in one day and I saw M.A.C.H. And at the time that this game came out, these Laserdisc games, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. It looked real at the time. Now obviously it doesn't feel that way now, but if you were there and you still look at it, it's still freaking awesome. So it uses Laserdisc to show a real video of the actual ground. Like they took a plane, they put a camera on it, and they flew it. And then you control an animated plane above all that footage and fight fighters and drop bombs and stuff like that. It is a super cool game. It was really popular back in the day. I was lucky enough to see it in the arcade. It wasn't around very long because it's notorious for breaking, which I'll talk about later, because this is a hard game to keep running. Anyway, I believe they made about 6,000 of these, and the most popular version was the cockpit version, which you can still see here and there today. And if you wanted to buy one, I've seen them pop up every now and then. But they're big, just like Star Wars cockpits or Sinistar cockpits. Probably not as rare as those other two, but still cool nonetheless. This is a stand-up version, and I haven't seen any of these pop up for sale really. I got this one from a private seller, and I had mentioned that he told me that he had one and what he wanted for it. Well, actually, he didn't tell me the first time. He told me he had one. I made him an offer. He said no. And then, like 9 months later, he texted me out of the blue and said, "Hey, do you still want that M.A.C.H.?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I bought it, had it shipped out, and it worked great for like 2 weeks. I bought it working, and after about 2 weeks, it just stopped working. And when I got it, the wood on the bottom was chewed up. This cabinet originally is blue, and it's painted on wood, and then you have the artwork on it. When I got it, the wood was rotted at the bottom and the front. Luckily, my buddy, who doesn't want me to mention his name, he's a carpenter, and he's an amazing carpenter, and he was able to help me replace all the wood on this. And it was actually like a jigsaw puzzle down there, but he was able to do it. And then he had some aluminum siding, and we put that on here. And honestly, I think it looks way better than the original. I know usually for collectors that's sacrilege, but in this case, this is better. And in that way, we didn't have to match the paint and then do multiple layers of spray paint to make it look, blue. And honestly, the blue didn't look good anymore on this cabinet. It was old. The artwork was faded and messed up. Some guy named Albert had written his name in the artwork. So shout out to Albert, or whoever that is. I hope you see this. I doubt you will. Anyway, this thing was messed up. The only thing that's still untouched on it is the control panel overlay, the joystick. All this stuff is original, but we replaced everything on here because it was just really beat up. Anyway, man, M.A.C.H., an awesome game. Every collector I know told me, "Steve, don't buy M.A.C.H. It's a pain in the butt, and it's just going to eat your soul." And this game really has, man. I've put so much money into getting this game working that even if I sold it, I'd be taking a loss. So I'm not going to sell it, and if I did, I would just trade it to my buddy who helped me restore it. That being said, this is one of the games that was on my list when I got into this hobby. I always wanted a M.A.C.H. Because it's so badass. Like all these old disc games are awesome. And I'm not talking about just Dragon's Lair. There's a lot of cool games like this. M.A.C.H., Astron's Belt, Firefox, all sorts of cool stuff. Anyway, you don't see these anymore. Even though they made 6,000, there's not a lot of M.A.C.H.s left. And this is a stand-up. I know some people have them. There's one at Galloping Ghost. Check it out. It's a big endeavor if you have one of these. It's a lot of work to get going if it doesn't work already. But in the end, it's worth it, man. It's a showpiece game. It's a lot of fun to play. And if you get a chance to try one, go for it. Alright, let's get some close-up shots of Mach 3 here. So original marquee, got this cool graphics on the inside. I don't think anybody reproduces that. Another reason we had to save this cabinet. Original control panel overlay complete with cigarette burns. Joystick, a little chewed up on the front, but I'm not going to mess with it because it's nice, it's original. And even if you do replace these, the quality is never as good as the original. And then you can see the we use the aluminum siding for this, which does add some weight to the cab. And this is a really thick cab compared to others, so it doesn't really fit good in a lineup with a Defender or those Dynamo cabs that everybody likes. But yeah, it's a big cabinet. Looks slim up front, but it's thick. Alright, so I'll talk about the insides of Mach 3 here. So this game has a really complicated board set. If you compare this to Dragon Slayer or something like that, it's just super complicated. I don't know why it's so complicated. I'm sure it has something to do with putting an animated video game on top of real video. Standard monitor, which looks great on this one. It does have a Laserdisc player. Not using one in this, using a Dexter, which even these are getting harder and harder to find these days. But when we refurbed this, man, we did whole new capacitor, that's not a big blue for an Atari, something totally different. All new, we redid everything on this power supply. The rectifiers, we reflowed the bottom. All these fuses on Mach 3 are super oddball fuses too. They're like a quarter fuse, 3/16 fuse, that type of stuff. Stuff that you kind of think, like, even if you think like, oh, I'll use something else because that doesn't matter. No, it'll blow it. Mach 3 is just a super finicky game. Doesn't really make sense in a lot of ways. I know that's hard to believe, but you just gotta trust me on this one. If you're gonna get one of these, just stay, do what the manual says and stay with it. So it's got two fans, an intake fan on the bottom, outtake fan on the top. Power supply. This thing gets so hot, if you touch this while it's going on, you're gonna burn your fingers. I mean, you could cook an egg on this thing. And the power supply leads into the soundboard here. You've got your video control boards here, and then your main PCB on the back. And that is one of the most frustrating things about Mach 3. Because if you're troubleshooting this game, let's say you want to take this board off. Well, you've got to take it off these connectors. This one's not too bad. But you want to get to this board and test it, or replace ROMs, or do any kind of thing with it. You got to take all these boards off just to get it off. And you got to take this whole wood board off. It is a big pain in the butt, and it's demoralizing, man. I'm telling you. Just to do any work on this cabinet, like, we had to reflow every single one of these boards. Now, if you're looking at this and you've got a Mach 3 and you're troubleshooting, there's a really good video out there. I will link it in the comments. There's a guy, he walks through how to troubleshoot a Mach 3 with error codes and things like that. I will link it on here. And that video helped us a lot. But if you've got one of these, you need to reflow these boards. And when I first got this, I thought reflowing meant taking a soldering iron and reflowing every solder joint on here. That's not realistic, because there's probably over 1,000 on here. So what my buddy did is he took a really hot hair dryer and he ran it over all the boards. He said not to use a heat gun because it might be too much. So we used a hair dryer and we had good results for that. I'm, arcade purists, you might say I'm crazy or something, but it worked for us. Maybe the solder they used on Mach 3 wasn't that good. But if you're going to reflow this thing, I recommend trying the hair dryer method. Alright, I got interrupted there. But anyway, if you want to reflow this, try using a hair dryer first. Now this is an old harness that we got off another board that I bought. So this still has the original harness, but we did on another harness, we repinned every single one of these. I shouldn't say we, my buddy did. And I would have happily done it, but he's the type of guy that once he gets going, he doesn't want to be interrupted. Anyways, yeah, you want to replace all these connectors. We're using the original ones here. We had replaced them. We went back because, you know, I've brought this game home 2 or 3 times from the workshop, and it's broken again. So, you know, we've replaced things, we've capped things, we've done just about everything you can to this game to get it going. So, if you're having problems with the M.A.C.H. ROM chips here, like if you have a graphic issue, burn some new ROMs and replace these one by one, because even one little simple graphic on the plane is changed by replacing these. Or buy an extra board set and replace them one by one. Reflowing, get new cables. This Gottlieb, this filter board here, the original is quick to die, and they sell these on arcade shops. So buy one of those, and it'll be an even swap. That's an easy fix for a M.A.C.H. All these cables got to be replaced. This is a new battery that we put on here. Man, I could talk about this forever. We put a lot of work into this game, and it still has issues. So if you're going to get one of these, listen to what people are saying. It is a tough sled. It's a tough game to work on, but man, it's worth it in the end if you get it going. So let's check out some gameplay. Alright, so let's check out some M.A.C.H. on a dedicated cabinet gameplay. Alright, so there you have it. This is a M.A.C.H. It's running the Dexter. I've got original Laserdiscs somewhere, but I've never messed with them because the Dexter works so great. I've got an actual Laserdisc for this too. Never messed with it. This is one of the most problematic games I've ever owned. That being said, it's awesome. And one thing I've learned about this hobby is, unfortunately, it's not always just about playing the games. A lot of it is, it's the journey to get there. It's the fixing them, restoring them, that becomes the hobby and not necessarily just playing them. Anyway, this is M.A.C.H. It's a great game. It's kind of been forgotten, but give it a shot. You know, play it on MAME, go to Galloping Ghosts, give it a shot. Great game, really hard to run, to keep running if you're thinking about buying one or have an opportunity to buy one. But man, if you're up for a challenge, go for it. It was on the list when I got in this hobby. This is one of the #1 games I wanted. When I was running MAME, this is one of the #1 games I wanted to emulate. It just, man, if you could transport me back to the 80s and show me a game that just blew your mind at that time, it was M.A.C.H. And it's still pretty damn cool. So, if you get a chance, give it a try, and we'll see you on the next one. We've got some more games coming.